Hi! You're listening to the Coffee O'Clock podcast, the show that brings you joy and inspiration, with special guests from all around the world who have an amazing story and expertise to evolve your personal and professional life. I am your host, Burcu Onaranel, the founder of Joy Marketing and Coaching. Make sure you grab your coffee and get ready to explore new ideas. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. The Coffee O'Clock. You might recognize my guest, Leisa Reid. She has been on my podcast before, but since it had some years passed, we wanted to make it back and life changed. So I want to welcome her. Welcome back, Leisa. Let's do cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to you across the world. She's in the US. I am in Hungary now. So that is one of the things that's changed. I was in Turkey. I was in the US before. Now it's totally different. She is the founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now and the CEO of the International Speaker Network, which I'm a member of, and we will talk about that more. But today our topic is how speaking will change people's life. So our motto today is Speak Your Brilliance, and we will dive into that. But first, welcome, Leisa. How are you today?
So always a pleasure being with you. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
I love having you, and I cannot wait to speak with you about speaking. I want to start with, from the beginning, how did you get into speaking business? How did you find your passion about speaking and helping others to share their brilliance?
I think for me, it's always really been about teaching versus speaking. I call myself I'm a teacher disguised as a speaker because it's really, for me, the joy is giving someone knowledge that's going to help them shift something in their life, or maybe it's going to make them more money or have them attract more clients or just feel confident enough to share what they have to share. So that's always been a part of how I feel, I think. But I did officially started as a speaker when I was 40. So this was back in 2013. If I go back even further, I mean, my degrees are in speech communication. So it's not like a super duper shock, but I did have quite a few decades in between getting my master's degree in speech communication to, actually doing it. And when I started, I often refer to that as my ignorance on fire era because I just went for it. Like I had no fear. I was like, I'm just going for it. And I had the support of a team, an organization that I was working for. They said, go out and speak. I said, okay. And bring in clients. And I said, okay. And they gave me the talk and the offer and they trained me and I practiced and got tons of feedback. So I wasn't alone in that part of the process, but I realized soon that there was a lot more about the speaking industry, basically, or how it worked that I didn't know. So I started to dive into that, and I even hired my own speaking coach. I was like, even with the degrees, and I had given hundreds of talks by the time I met her, and I also had the speaker organization as well. So I guess it's just always learning and figuring out what's the best path. And then that eventually led me to help other people with it.
Yes, it's amazing how our life kind of put us on the right path, but for us to be aware of it or find out that this is actually what we're meant to do sometimes takes time.
Yeah.
But very less people who are doing speaking coaching or speaking out there don't have what you have, all the degrees, all the credentials. So it's very important. I truly value what you do and what you stand for. It is always amazing to learn from you, listen to you. And I just want to share quickly our story that I shared on Facebook the other day. Actually, it's maybe a month ago. But I won Leisa's training from another speaking event when I was in the US. It was probably in 2017 or something. I was barely speaking English. And in that seminar, I won her speaking And I went into it, I learned a lot, and then we started working together. And I just got into this speaking world more and became a speaker afterwards. And I also want to touch what you shared about having a coach. I think it
Mhm.
is so important for entrepreneurs and speakers to have a coach,
Mhm.
especially a speaker coach. We always need someone to watch us and tell us what we can do better, what we shouldn't do, maybe. And you have a free gift I want to share with our audience upfront. 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs now. You can grab it from the description of our show and keep listening. It is very important to get everything ready before you go on stage. You have to know what you do on the stage. So I want to ask you more about it. I have a lot of audience who are speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs, or aspiring ones,
Mhm.
want more speaking gigs and they struggle getting
Yeah,
it. So if you can share some tips that they
sure.
can implement today.
Yeah, I think that's actually one of the biggest issues I hear from people who love the idea of speaking, and especially when it comes to marketing your business. We all love that feeling of like being the speaker and having that
Mhm.
microphone in hand, and but how do you get to that point? And there's all these things behind the scenes that you need to do to get to that point. And that was why I actually started my business, because people kept asking me over and over again, how do you get so many gigs, Leisa? And I've given over 600 talks at this point. But
Mhm.
I mean, in my first year, I booked 80 over 80 gigs. And so people are like, what are you doing? Well, so I mean, I say, well, there's a lot of things, and it kind of depends on who you are and what you've been doing. But I think the biggest first step is to have a talk dialed. I call it get your talk ready to rock, but like
Yes.
have your talk dialed in so that you're ready. And it's almost like if you think of you're on a sports team, um, and you didn't warm up and you didn't know the plays and you didn't know what was, you weren't ready, you didn't have your gear on, the coach is not going to put you in. Like you're not ready. You're not ready to be in the game. And it's the same with speaking. So I think a lot of times people are like working on their talk or thinking about being a speaker, but they're not actually ready. They might have a title, but it's not like you want to practice it, you want to rehearse it so that you're energetically, emotionally, mentally, physically actually ready. And I emphasize that because I think a lot of people are like, "Well, I just want to speak. I'm a speaker." And I'm like, "Well, no, you still have to be you still have to be ready to say yes." So that would be number 1. And then as that's happening, it's important to then start to identify where would your best audience be. And sometimes I think people get maybe starry-eyed about, I need to speak in front of a big, I want a big room, a big arena. And I'm tell you, some of my best sales have been in very small, intimate rooms. So don't get too,
Mhm.
I don't know, jaded about like what that stage needs to look like. It's more important to be in front of the right people with the right message, with the right offer. And when you have those 3 components together, then you're now attracting clients and building your business. So and I work with people who that's what they're using speaking for. So that's not what everyone's using speaking for, but that's the lane that I'm in. So it's like figure out where are your people. And sometimes people are like, I had a client who works with animals, right? She's like, well, I work with dog owners, because they bring their dogs in to me and etc. And so it's not like dog owners are getting together necessarily to listen to a speaker, right? But if you speak to, for in her case, if you speak to a general audience, there are probably people in that audience who have a dog or who
Like,
know
yeah.
someone who has a dog. So don't also get too overwhelmed of like it all has to be perfect.
Yes, exactly. And also related to that, I have some people getting in struggle of thinking. Sometimes they feel like the entrepreneurs, they have to use their speech to sell, and the
Mhm.
speech topic needs to be related to what they do. Does it have to be related, or it can be a completely different, maybe different passion that they want to share while they're on the stage?
I think it just depends. And I say that a lot because when I work with someone, I'm looking at the whole thing of like,
Mm,
what is your goal? What lights you up? What makes sense? And does this fit for the audience? So it's kind of like all those things need to culminate together. You don't want to do a bait and switch where you're like, oh, I'm a speaker coach, but I'm going to come talk about crocheting. And they're like, I thought she was going to talk about speaking. Why is she talking about crochet? So it needs to make sense. But perhaps the stories that you bring in are personal or inspiring, something like that. Again, it really just depends on the situation and what the expectations are of the audience, of the meeting planner. And that's really your first sale,
mhm.
is the organizer getting to agree to give you that stage time. And I think that's, you want to really honor, you already know this, but only for listeners, you want to honor that person's stage. You want to honor the fact that they're trusting you with their audience. So you don't want to mislead or misrepresent what you're doing. You always want to be in alignment with the organization and what's going on.
Yes, exactly. And I also want to retell the thing you shared. It's not about the room, how big the room is, or how, the lights and camera action. It's about the right people and also being ready. I had an experience a couple months ago. If I didn't have my speech ready, I wouldn't have taken that chance. So the speaker, keynote speaker, canceled the last minute because of a health issue. And they reached out to me as a B plan, and it was a week away speech. So it's like if you didn't have anything, you can't prepare for something in a week. And it was in front
It would be
of,
hard. Yeah. It
yeah,
would be
and it
really
was
hard.
in front of 350 students at the university. So I took that as a huge opportunity and I got sales after it. I got a lot of benefit out of it. So it's very important. And they also say this to in every scenario in our lives. If you're ready, be ready if you're going to act right now, tomorrow, or your resume if you are looking for a job or anything. We have to be ready. But also there's this part, and you know this really well, and I want you to talk about this a little bit, how you teach your clients the mindset, because you're very into the mindset, I know. The shift we need to make, for example, because I still have that experience and I know my audience have too. I need to prepare something that I need to sell in a
Mhm.
month away speech. It's a
Mhm.
month away, so I keep postponing it. It's not ready. So it's there. I just need to polish a couple things and be ready. But that offer, I know I can sell today too to someone else. But I don't make it ready. So there is this deadline, there's this time we focus on. If it's tomorrow, like how we study our lessons most of the time, the last night, we get it done and it happens. So, how do you teach that, the mindset of getting ready, if it's far away or there's no even speaking opportunity on the surface?
Yeah, that's such a complex thing, our mind, right? And everyone's a little different. They have their own special sauce of what gets them nervous, what motivates them, what they procrastinate on, what they believe, what they don't believe about themselves. And so it's really about figuring out what I call, what's that speaker's kryptonite, which if for listeners, the kryptonite's the magical thing that, or the thing that Superman, could kill Superman. So it's a fake thing. But the speaker's kryptonite is like, what's that thing that could keep you from making money, making sales, getting on stage, getting booked, putting yourself out there? I always say speaking is not for the faint of heart. We're a special breed. There's a lot of us. So I always say, I don't hang around all the people who are scared of speaking. I hang around people who love to speak and they want more of it, but we still have our own little insecurities, little things that come up, little fears. And so what we want to do is really like face that. I'm a big fan, and I know you are too, of just like, okay, well, the fact that you even brought it up, that you could catch it, that's our first step. Like, can I even catch what I'm doing? Oh my gosh, I'm catching myself procrastinating. How fascinating. What's going on here? And I mean, that's the first step. If you can't even catch it, then that's a little trickier. But you catch it and then you can start going, okay, that's interesting. What am I worried about? Oh, I'm worried about my offer not being good enough, or I'm worried about the pricing, or I'm worried about someone's not going to buy it, or I'm worried about if it's not perfect, whatever our worry is, whatever that internal, we're really getting tuned into that internal dialogue. And then taking that a step further. And this is all without, if we can, without beating ourselves up about it, just getting curious, like, oh, oh, tell me procrastination. What's your goal here? Like, what are you trying to protect me from? Thank you. And tell me more. And then we can start to, and this might mean checking back into some history a little bit. Oh yeah, I learned that because I saw other people procrastinate, or that's just how I coped through school, whatever it was. That doesn't really matter as much as more of just bringing you back to present. And then redirecting yourself intentionally. Like, okay, what else do I know about myself that's true that I can hang on to? And that might mean for some people it might be a spiritual connection. Like I'm, a child of God, or I'm divinely connected, or I'm, the universe always provides for me. However that wording is for anyone. That might be it. Or just like, I'm a person who always gets stuff done. I know I'm going to show up. I know I'm going to do well. I know I'm going to deliver. I know I've worked hard, whatever that is. It's so individual for people. But then you can go, oh, that's also true. I might be a little scared, but I'm also this other thing, and that can help you move through it quicker.
Yes, thank you. And I'm glad you used the word get because I was gonna say, like your company name, Get Speaking Gigs Now, you get things done. When
Yeah.
I think about you, when I hear your name, Leisa Reid, I know she's someone who gets things done. And I remember you get your book out there in 2 or 3 days, something
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah.
I remember. So it's like if she wants the book out there, it happens. So people procrastinate for years to get one book done, and I am one of them, proudly sharing. I have been writing a book for a decade now, and it
What? Oh no, we got to get that thing done.
yes, so I really want to touch on that. It's very important for
Yeah.
us to understand because there's always something more we can add, learn, and
Mhm.
share. But
Mhm.
I know you work with people one-on-one to get their talk ready in 2 hours.
Mhm.
And I have a lot of clients where I work for their branding. They have a lot to share. So they
Yeah.
struggle. Okay, how to pick what to share? I want to share this too. I have this certificate too. I have this credential too. So how you nail down all those things in just 2 hours.
Absolutely.
Can you just
Yes.
share a little bit of how you work with individuals if they want to
Yeah.
get their talk ready and also then continue please speaking about International Speaker Network?
Oh, yes. Yes. So I know when people tell me I've been working on my talk and I'm like, oh, geez, how long? How many years is it going to be? And I'm like, let's just get it done. Let's just do it. Let's just decide. And it's hard to see the label from inside the bottle, like, especially when we have decades of knowledge or hours of content. And oftentimes I had one client who, I mean, one of his slides in his many slides that he showed me, even one of his slides could have been like an 8 hour seminar. I'm like, we have got to get it even down now, like more. It's so dense, like so much stuff. So that's very difficult for people to like edit down. But that's why I shepherd, them through that process because I get it. I'm like, yeah, you have to make a decision. And so I'm there alongside them going, okay, what's the most important things that we're going to pull from, and I use my intuitiveness as well. So yes, there's a structure, but there's also this flowingness because every speaker is different, every personality is different, their topic, their expertise is different, their audience is different. So it's really like making that nice cohesive plan for that person, and then they can go and use that talk for the rest of their career if they want. I mean, usually it's going to change and evolve over time, but at least then they could give that talk for a hundred times. 200 times if they wanted to. And I call it birthing your brilliance because it's literally like I will be the OBGYN, the doula, the midwife, whoever you need me to be in the room to get that baby out, to get that brilliance birthed. We're going to do it and we're going to do it healthy. And I have 100% success rate. So, but we also start with that call to action so that we know where are we taking the audience. And I often refer to it as like you're the tour guide on the ship. You know, you're the captain of the ship, you're the pilot of the plane as the speaker. The audience wants to know we're going to get there safely, we're going to get there on time, this is all going to make sense, I'm going to get what I was promised. Like that's what we're going for. If you signed up for a tour to see the dolphins and they took you to a volcano, you'd be like, that's not what I signed up for. So we want to make sure that it all makes sense. So thanks for asking that. Yeah, and it's quick. I always tell people it's quicker than you can ever imagine. We're gonna get it done. Don't even worry. It's gonna be okay. And it's not a script either. I want to make that clear. It's not, hi, my name is Lisa, and this is it's not a script, it's a plan. So that you know when someone asks you to speak, they're gonna ask you for the main things. They're going to ask you for the title of your talk, the description, the learning points of your talk. If you don't have that, then you don't actually have a talk. It's very difficult to get booked if you don't have those things. It's also just you're not confident because you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to speak about? So you do want to make sure you've got a plan. For the International Speaker Network, thanks for asking about that, by the way. And I'm so excited that you're in now. We're now European friendly time.
Yeah.
Tuesday, second Tuesday of the month, 10 to 12 Pacific, 10 a.m. to 12 Pacific. And we are a community of entrepreneurs, business owners, service providers, people who really, really enjoy the idea of speaking and public speaking to generate business. It's a great marketing tool, especially for people who are really purpose driven. Maybe they didn't have sales and marketing. I mean, you have tons of marketing experience, but a lot of times people don't start their business with a full deck of marketing and sales experience. They're like, I really am good at this one thing. I'm good at coaching people, or I'm good at being an attorney, or I'm good at being a doctor, or I'm good at, being a massage therapist, or whatever it is they're good at. And they didn't realize that when they started their business, they needed sales and marketing. And then they got, oh my gosh, a little like, how am I going to get clients? This is hard, especially when you're really not into the sales thing. And so speaking is a way you're giving because you're educating, and then people come to you. And it's like, oh, well, that's a lot easier than trying to hunt and peck and find your clients. And that's a good combination with other marketing services like what you do. It's like, yes, you still probably going to need your social media. You're going to need some emails. You're going to need these other things, but it's a really strong component to draw clients in right away.
Yes. And I have to share this because I have been into a lot of in-person and online networking places. So I always see this happening. You just get in there, there are not many people, and everybody tries to sell. Of course, that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons you're there, but you're there to really connect and have that authentic connection and learn something and get something out of it. What I experienced at your ISN, people show up, so it's monthly, and I only joined 2 times, and in the 2 times I saw over 50 people online. So
Mhm.
this is a huge success, and this is huge number that you can meet those people, and there are always guests, so there are always new people, and there is a lot of opportunities in that. And plus, which I haven't seen at other platforms too, that there are exercises every time. So you really make sure people get the most out of it. So I remember we did an exercise that was really, really a lot of work. So Lisa shares an Excel sheet, and everyone in the room shares their social media, whatever that exercise is. I'm not going to get into it. If you're curious, just visit.
You have to
But
come.
I have to tell you this, when you go, like, you get visibility, you learn something, you really connect. And if you don't get a client in the first meeting, you get a friend, you get someone to follow you, someone to like your post and support you on social media, and some familiar face that you can't meet in person because it's global and everybody has the same purpose. And I think at some point, after being tired of trying to sell, I think people come to this point of, let me connect with people without
Yeah,
trying to sell myself. I think that is where the magic happens. If you go there being present and just get to know people without trying to share your pitch, I think that's where the real authentic connection happens. So I'm
I
very
agree.
happy to be a member of that.
Oh, I'm so excited that you're there. And I will even say, I love hearing your description of that because even though I'm there, I'm like, oh, I never thought about certain things that way. That's so cool. But what I have found with, years, decades actually of networking is that when speakers go and ask for speaking referrals or podcast referrals, things like that, exposure referrals, they're much easier to get than client referrals.
Mhm.
Because for a client referral, not that you don't get referred by other people for clients, but when you're in a network, like they don't know your business, they don't know all the intricacies. So it might be if you sell something a little complex, it's like maybe a little hard for someone to really give you a great ideal client referral, but they might have been on a podcast. They might have know someone who has a stage that needs speakers. That's easier. They're like, oh, yeah, I know someone who, and they don't need to get into all your business of knowing all the details. So at the International Speaker Network, it's like, okay, let's all try to figure out like, can we share those resources? And then you don't have to get worry about like the person's pricing and how they work with people and all the and exactly what they do. Yes, that's going to happen as well, of course, because we know each other. But really, it's more about like, can we get our own members on the stages that we've been on? And when you're around, like let's say 50, there's 100 people, over 100 people in the network, but say 50 people are on the call. Um, that's 50 people who've already been on stages. They've already been on podcasts. They know the very information you're looking for. And it's not so much the cold information. Like you could give me the name of the podcast or whatever. How am I going to get a hold of that person? How am I going to find them? It would take a whole bunch of work for me to try to find that person and for them to believe, oh, she's, who is this stranger, right? But when I get a warm introduction, that open door, the door is open. And that's what we create in the International Speaker Network. Like, don't work so hard. Come and join us and make it easy, easy for
Yes,
yourself.
yes. And I want to underline what you shared previously. Speaking really the way for so many entrepreneurs to get clients. You just have to speak. And if you find a related topic of what you do and combine it with your story, with your passion, and make it authentic and get it done with Leisa Reid, and then you can get clients. And I agree with the small rooms and everything too. And even Toastmasters. I have been a
Mhm.
member of Toastmasters for almost a decade now, and I cannot tell you enough how many clients I got only from my even broken speeches that I practiced
Yeah,
at the club meetings, because they get to know you, they know what you do, and you never know who is in the room.
exactly.
So thank you
And
so
I'm
much
so
for
excited that
sharing.
you celebrating your opening of your Toastmasters club. Very excited.
Yes, yes. Thank you for acknowledging that. It's called Speak with Joy, and I'm so happy that it is official now. I worked very hard to make it happen in a country that I never been, never speak the language. So it's in Hungary. Very good place to for people to grow. Thank you so much for everything you shared,
Oh,
for your
thank you.
gift. To remind our audience again, please grab your 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs now. It's in the description, and I also shared Lisa's social links there. And you can find International Speaker Network as well. Join us. We will meet next week. So join us every second Tuesday of every month. Every month,
Yes,
second Tuesday.
yes.
Join us 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you, Lisa. And as I always do, I want you to share one sentence with our audience as the like last statement.
Do what makes your heart sing.
Ooh, love it. Thank you. It's
Thank
been a
you.
pleasure having you. Bye, everyone. I hope you
Bye.
enjoyed.